Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live. Um, Please feel free to join. One second. Please feel free to join and just let me know you're here. If you would like for me to see your comments, you should definitely go on my YouTube channel and I will put in the chat for you to be able to join the invite link. So I will add the invite link in the chat for you to join. But basically, we are here to discuss the state of Senegal right now. And we're here to discuss the state of Senegal, talk about the politics that's happening. So, for those of you that don't know, the president basically had postponed elections, and then they stated that they were going to have a dialogue to discuss the elections and set a time. This is the first time in Senegal's history where the presidential elections were paused. So um, it's just really interesting to be able to see how that process has been handled right now. And there's a lot of feedback from people who are not necessarily happy with what's going on right now. Oh, let me just double check that my live is on YouTube too and Instagram. I believe it logged me out of live. So bear with me while we try to get things set up. Oh no, it's saying that I'm live. So I don't know why I'm unable to see that. But yeah, if you would like to join, you need to go on YouTube so that you can join the live and see what's going on. For those of you that are on Instagram, please join the live on YouTube. If you would like to join to share your thoughts, I'm just going to put my phone up here so I can see your comments. I'm kind of going back and forth between Instagram and TikTok. But if you want to join the live to share your thoughts on Senegal, you can join the live, but you have to go on my YouTube channel, Simply May's Thoughts. And I will put that in the chat. Ça va si loo leen nekk basically dama doon expliquer mooy boo bëggee dugg nga wax sa xalaat ci li xew Sénégal mooy nga dugg si YouTube channel bi nga join invite link bi boo duggee YouTube di nga gis the link to join, the invitation link. But what's going on in Senegal right now is really interesting. So there's a few of you on Instagram. If you would like to join to have a discussion, I want to encourage you. Nga ñëw ci YouTube link bi dama sama YouTube page link bi tamit mi ngi ci sama bio mën nga gis link bi and you can join and share your thoughts. Hi everyone. Hi Amadou. Hi Suleiman. Silole Nek. Join Lin YouTube. Ibrahima, what's up? Hey Moya, how are you? Yes, so join the YouTube link if you would like to join and have a discussion. For the meantime, I will just share my thoughts. I'm going to head out of Instagram for now and just go to TikTok so they can know what's going on. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting time that we're in because when you have presidential candidates that completely switch their minds as soon as the president says one thing to them, they went from being not a fan of the president or having complete opposing views as the government, and then the president sends them an invitation to join a chat, and then they're instantly fans. corruption is a very unique thing in Senegal. It's not unique to Senegal, but it's a unique dynamic in Senegal because they're so easy to they're so easy to have them switch their mindsets. Sorry, I'm trying to do multiple things at the same time. So, if you would like to join, if you go on my YouTube, there's a stream link there for you to join, and we can have a discussion. Yes, the link is in the chat. Hello, Iliman. How are you? Don't forget to. Okay. Fekkee nga bëgg join nga bës link bi, the link here to join on YouTube. Ngeen ñëw ñu waxtaan bu leen ragal. It's just a conversation. But in the meantime, I'm going to talk. Burman, Senegal is going through one of the worst moments in history. Um, the problem with it is when you have a government that just does whatever they want and you have citizens that are easy to forget sometimes. If you have like a social event happening, citizens sometimes forget what's happening and or what's going on, and then they just focus on the social event versus actually focusing on the politics. So I think one of the tactics of the government is to distract Senegal. Well, it's not even just Senegalese government; it's many many other governments where they will distract you with some other event, and you'll forget political monuments that are happening. And what's going on in Senegal right now is there was supposed to be a presidential election this week, and they have postponed it. They stated that they were going to postpone the presidential elections until December. Fekkee da ngeen a bëgg dugg wax seen xalaat ci Sénégal, fekkee da nga bëgg dugg wax seen xalaat ci Sénégal, da ngeen di dem sama link bi nekk YouTube, dugg leen YouTube bi, boo demee sama profil link bi pour YouTube bi mi ngi foofu, just click the link, mën nga dugg wax sa xalaat ci live bi. But yes, join the live on YouTube. The presidential elections, this is the first time in history that they pushed back a presidential election. But the problem with this is they've pushed it back, and um they got feedback from outside governments like world, I think United Nations had told them, you can't push this back to December, you need to pick a date. So then that's when the president came back and was like, oh, we're going to pick a date now. But there weren't intentions to pick a date. The date that they chose was December 15th, which would have given the president pretty much another year, or like 8 months of being president. Now he's changed his tune, and he has said that he still will be done on April 2nd, but he will make sure that there's a presidential election set up before he goes. There's been so much speculation about the fact that they think that they're going to there's been so much speculation about the fact that they think he's going to quit. They think there's going to be a coup d'etat, which is basically when the military takes over. And I really want to hear people's thoughts on like lan mooy seen xalaat ci Sénégal fi mu nekk nii. Hi Jack, Fatou, Bilal, dugg leen YouTube ngeen join live bi bu fekkee da ngeen a bëgg bokk ci waxtaan bi. Yeah, I'm very, very, very worried about Senegal. So le temps que ngeen di dugg wax ma xool ñu nekk ci yeneen plateforme bi ñu waxtaan. Okay. Yes. Okay, Iliman Sek. Hello? You are dark. We can't see you.
Why my camera is not on?
Huh?
Who camera is it?
The Wi-Fi, we can't hear you clearly.
Okay.
Mun ñu la dégg bu baax. puusal tuuti.
Ah, ok. Xam naa ne xam naa wifi bi ma baaxul.
ok ñu ngi lay dégg.
Ah, ok. Good.
lan mooy sa
Maa ngi
xalaat
nuyu
lan
sa
mooy sa
famille.
xalaat ci situation bi nekk Sénégal.
Waaye stable rek stable donc Macky moom mu ngi noonu rek yàq na réew mi yàq na réew mi rek donc pexe amul.
ah hmm?
Waaw.
lan mooy sa xalaat ci situation bi nekk Sénégal.
waaw sama xalaat moom lenn la rek Sénégal yi jub gën a dëggu rek gën a
xanaa fi
taxaw.
nga xanaa fi nga nekk amul lamp wala bëggoo sa kanam feeñ mën nga bu fekkee bëggoo sa kanam feeñ mën nga fay sa caméra.
non 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 place mu fii sax xama xaaral ma xool.
kon waaw fayal sa caméra léegi lan nga ndax yenn saa boo fayee sa caméra it makes the audio better so what are your thoughts on the current state of Senegal if you are on TikTok or Instagram you can join by going to the link on my YouTube.
Okay. No, I think right now it's perfect.
Uh-huh.
It's okay. Right now, I go ahead.
What were you saying?
No, nothing. I just Sénégal yi dañoo war a taxaw rek jàkkaarloog Macky Sall parce que liñ ko bàyyi muy def nii moom tey mën naa am duñ kii dara waaye ëllëg mooy problème bi parce que bu keneen taxawee bëgg a def lu mel nii war nañu taxaw
lan
jàkkaarloog
mooy
moom.
sa xalaat ci dialogue bi do you think the dialogue was helpful.
No, I don't think it makes sense because loolu laa la bëgg a wax nii mu ne Macky Sall loolu laa la bëgg a xamal moo tax Macky Sall ci li mu nekk dañ ko bàyyi muy def lu ko neex
Uh-huh.
parce que Macky Sall dafa xam réew mi ni mu xamee réew mi mooy dafa jaar gaay yi ci affaire yu sëriñ ci affaire yooyu noonu donc foofu la jaar jox leen lu mu leen di jox tey seen gémmiñ yi su ko defee ñoom duñ wax dara nit ñi dañ wax dara nit ñi muy déroulé ni mu ko neexee gaay yi jàppale ko right now lenn rek laa gis mooy Sénégalais yi jug taxaw wax ak waxal opinion internationale bi parce que Macky moom ins bi moom fi mu taxaw nee na fi mu taxaw dëgër na nee na moom li mu wax yëpp man li ma si jàngatee mooy du élection yi moom du ko amal nee na bëggul ko mu fekk ko right now Macky Sall mi ngi def lu ko neex mu koy def donc
yaakaar nga ne dinañ am élection 2024.
non 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 non
no
if in another 2 years duñu am élection parce que li mu bëgg bu ko amee du taxawal élection dafay nekk ba affaire yi jeex mu démissionné jox ko assemblée bi dem yoon parce que niki tomorrow war naa def amnistie bi war na ko bind bu ko bindee jox ko assemblée bi ñoom ñu ngi noonu daal ñu ngi noonu ñoom ñëpp ñoo bokk mbuus parce que fi ne nii moom gars yi xam na fu mu leen di téye te ñu téye donc li mu leen wax les gars yi def Macky Sall daal Sénégal yi jub rek moo ci def ñu jub rek amuñu beneen
pour Sénégalais yi lan
jub taxaw
jub taxaw
war ko ne ko réew mi moomoo ko rek parce que réew mi daf ko doon Macky 2012 ba muy ñëw lépp dañ ko waroon defal donc tey mu bëgg a won ne Sénégalais yi sawaay mënuñ dara bëgg ñeex non affaire yi dafa dem ba ci kanam léegi dafa ëpp sax dafa ëpp donc da ngay dem ba ci kanam doo understand réew mi naka lay doxee réew mi fan la ko Macky Sall jëmale donc nit ñi bañante nañ nit ñi léegi loo wax kenn du gëm day na waar daal day na waar
léegi ok lan nga yaakaar mooy solution bi bu fekkee da may déglu ci beneen device
non 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 non
ok dafay xaw a echo
ok man xam naa sama wifi bi moom very slow
ok léegi lan nga yaakaar mooy solution bi pour ñu jëm kanam
jug xeex ak moom rek gaay yi nekk ci réew mi ñi nga xam ne ñoo yor kon ñi nga xam ne ñoo yor affaire bi comme moom ñu taxaw jëmmal seen bopp xam ne Macky mii nit la rek ba mu fiy ñëw dañ ko fi tegoon li mu yor yëpp sénégalais yi ñoo ko jox moo tax mu am paaw bi mu am tey donc bu ko am ba pare jël ay nitam teg ne war a teg ñooñu di def lu leen neex sénégalais yi donc sénégalais yi war a jug dañoo war a jug rek jàkkaarloo moom amuñ leneen jug rek
Mhm.
jàkkaarloo jug rek jug rek jàkkaarloo Macky amul leneen.
Yeah.
solution
Ah.
bi daal solution bi daal loolu la parce que fi ne nii Macky xam nga bu fekkoon dafa respecté loi ñu ne waaw ok nañ ko yóbbu fii nii duñ ko yóbbu fii nii mais bi duñ ko yóbbu fii nii mu understand wala ñii mën nañ ko waxal mu dégg wala yi nangam wala yi nangam.
Mhm. Ah. Man de I don't know man dama yaakaaroon ne dialogue bi dinañ ci am solution bu ñu amal solo mais dégguma ci solution boo xam ne
amul
dina
benn
tax
solution
xelu Sénégalais yi dal.
non du am benn solution du am benn solution parce que boo seetlu ko dialogue bi ñu fi ñëwoon daanaka bi ñëwoon li soxla woon moom dëgg ñu Macky soxla woon ñu ñëwuñ
Mhm.
ñun soxla woon dëgg ñëwuñ Macky Macky ñi fa nekk ñi fa ñëw
Mhm.
ñooñu duñu ñooñu duñu ñoom Macky Sall soxla woon foofu noonu pour jàkkaarloo ñoom pour waxtaan ak ñoom réew mi Macky ñu bëgg
Yeah.
waxal ak réew mi ñooñu gisugul leen ñun ñu ngi bañ
Yeah.
donc kon opinion internationale bi understand nañ lan was going in Sénégal donc yu bëri nañ bàyyi noonu rek
Yeah.
solution bi daal moom bu la kenn nax bu taxaw jàkkaarloo Macky Sall fees ko na ko fii nga jëmee réew mi baaxut stop
Yeah.
keneen
pour ñu nekk YouTube ak Facebook boo fekkee da nga bëgg dugg live bi wax sa xalaat da ngay dem sama YouTube Simply May's Thoughts nga dugg live bi wax sa xalaat is going to boo duggee YouTube bi di nga gis link bi pour nga join après da ngay join def sa tur ma boole la ci chat bi mais ku nekk mën a dugg am na ku wax on am na ku wax on Instagram let's just say the words MK thinks Senegal belongs to his family and he can do whatever he feels like doing. I think he's definitely ignoring the law right now for sure, or he's bending the law to fit his agenda.
bul sax
But
sonn
if
bul sax sonn bul sax sonn
huh?
ma ne bul sax sonn Macky is not respecting the law he don't do it he don't do it he don't do it just
Yeah.
stand all Sénégal stand up
Dama doon wax ak sama benn professeur like 2 3 weeks ago sama professeur naan Macky Sall moo nekk président boo xam ne ci dafa change history yu Sénégal 2 times ci benn presidency dafa dugg def lu baax ne dañuy limit term presidency mandat yi dañuy dugg defar mandat président mënul def lu ëpp ñaari term léegi mu ñëwaat changé waat history bi dem post élection.
loolu mooy problème bi problème Macky Sall he don't respect the law any law you
Is
bring
not what dégguñu la bu baax nga ne
ma ne bépp law boo indi Macky Sall respecté benn law Macky Sall moom lu ko neex la xam lim teg yaakaar na dina jàll loolu lay jàll te am nañu ko ci jàppale ñoo xam ne moom moo leen ko teg donc comme li ma la wax rek moo ci nekk jug taxaw rek na ko stop enough is enough
yeah pour man dama yaakaar Macky Sall bi mu doon commencé dafa yéene woon Sénégal lu baax like and mi ngi doon def ay projet yu baax and I just xawma lu xew ci diggante bi
non first mandat bi baax na waaye second mandat bi donc dafa dem ba ci kanam xam nga li ñuy wax rek ci baadoola bu nguur dab ñaareel mooy defee yii nii Macky ci ñun la bokk Macky ba muy ñëw baaxoon na loolu moo taxoon ñu fal lim doon wax lim doon def lim doon naroon jëlee Sénégal ba pourtant 2012 ba 2017 boobu Macky Sall mu ngi yoon ci yoon mais après 2017 ak léegi dafa wàcc yoon yi lu bëree bëri
Uh,
So so pexe amut xam nga bu fekkoon ne dafa ku respecté loola sax ñu ne nañ ko yóbbu ci loo waaye respecté wul loo loolu mooy loolu mooy loolu mooy jafe-jafe bi.
well, thank you, Iliman, for joining. If you are on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or YouTube, you can join the live and share your thoughts by you can join the live and share your thoughts by clicking the link. I have the link here. I have the link here for you to join. So just go on the YouTube channel and click the link to join. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting topic because you just never know the the mindset behind the actions. It's like I don't honestly for me, I don't know who to trust. Man xawma kan laa war a wóolu because su ma demee ba xalaat oh kii dina nekk président bu baax day dem wëbbatiku def dara loo xam ne is like a betrayal. So I don't know honestly who to trust as the next president. And the one that a lot of people feel like should be the next president, which I agree he would be a great president, Usman Sonko, he's locked up right now because of some charges that the government put on him. So it's like, who are we supposed to select to be president? It's almost like you're forced to select whoever is put in power by the current um dominating political party. It's a hard pill to swallow. That's what I will say. It's a hard pill to swallow. Thank you for joining the chat. If you would like to join to share your thoughts, please join the link and you can come up and share your thoughts. You don't have to turn your camera on. You can turn it off. You don't have to put your real name. I understand people want to protect their identity. So, bu fekkee da nga bëgg join face sa camera, mën nga face sa camera. Bu fekkee da nga bëgg changer sa tour pour nit ñi bañ a xam sa tour, comprendre naa loolu tamit. So, dama bëgg a xam rek lan mooy seen xalaat, you know. I think problème bi mooy fi mu nekk nii we are at a place where politics, like the morals of Senegal is completely changed, and the politics and the money and the greed is what's taking over, you know, like people aren't no longer looking to forces that have guided us like religion. People aren't really focusing on that right now. Is just very disheartening because you don't even know who to trust, to be honest. So if you are on Instagram, I see your comments. I'm reading your comments as I go. um okay, sorry, I had to focus on something. We really believe in Sonko's choice, which is German Faye, because Sonko wants to build a new Senegal, and I think German Faye and him will end up to change the sickness of our lovely country. I think No, I think definitely Sonko has a good message, and I think he has good intentions for Senegal. I just don't know if they're going to allow him. I don't know if they're going to allow him to be president. Like, I think he has too many people fighting him. And I hope that I think he'll definitely have a great impact in Senegal. I just hope that the corruption doesn't take over so much where they don't allow him, you know? I hope that makes sense. It's like I have sometimes I think the worst case scenario first. So pour man damay nan, yeah, Sonko dina nek candidat bu baax mais est-ce que dinañ ko bàyyi pour mu nek candidat? Like it's just I want to think about both sides. I feel like we need to have a backup plan, honestly, because the way it's going, I think they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that he does not become president. And if that is the case, or like not even just him, if he does not become president, no one connected to him, how do we mitigate that? Like, what is the solution to make sure that if the president or the if not the president, if the government stops our plan A, right, which is for us to have the candidate that we want, what is our plan B? Momla Bakaham, like, what is our plan B? What is our action plan? How do we make sure that we still hold them accountable and get what we want at the same time? I don't see a good ending right now. I feel like we know very little of the government's plans and they know very like a lot of our plans. Yeah, that's correct, Bintu. And remember, if you want to join the live, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is linked in my bio. You can click the link on the YouTube channel live and join to discuss. You don't have to put your face on camera. You could turn your camera off. You don't have to put your real name because I know that there are some safety measures that people want to take. My question to everyone is if our plan A does not work out, which for the most part, from what I understand, most younger people want Usman Sonko to be president. If our plan A doesn't work out, what is plan B? Because, and how do we effectively communicate plan B? And how do we create a plan that the government and its corruption or its corrupt acts cannot stop? That's the problem there. Because I feel like no matter what we do, they're always going to be able to stop it because we cannot fight a government. I feel very hopeless, to be honest with you. And I think I share that sentiment with a lot of people. I feel so hopeless when it comes to just trying to find a solution, you know? So that's why I'm asking y'all, because it doesn't seem like it's gonna happen. I really where I'm from Senegal. Bintu said this is the question. No one's answering. Yeah. Hello, Sylvester. I'm curious to know what are some solutions y'all are brainstorming. And I want to know what y'all think about John Young going to that dialogue and changing his tune. He didn't change his tune all the way because he still said that he disagreed with a lot of things that the president said, but he also sounded like he was more so in agreement of the future plans that the president has. The fact that we all had our hopes in a candidate was the first problem. We need to know how to mobilize. Mm. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think one of my feedback earlier on was, which I got attacked for on TikTok, but one of my feedback earlier on was to play the game. Politics is a game. Play the game. The thing about Senegalese is they ain't yakane, not all. I don't want to generalize, but they ain't yakane. Yo, sa xel mi bu nekkee ci benn candidate, you cannot use the other candidates to get what you want. That's the whole game of politics. It's leveraging your relationships. If you know there's another candidate that wants to be president, yo, ya mun go kuti sa hell. Okay, we're gonna make a president. Maybe you'll be my number two choice. But in the meantime, while you want to be president, there's nothing wrong with that. They're looking to get something out of you. You're looking to get something out of them. I feel like as Senegalese, we should have leveraged our relationships more. We should have pushed, like, we should have created some kind of bond with the other candidates, because one thing that you can't stop is solidarity. We don't have solidarity right now. We are too narrow-minded. We are too tunnel vision. We're too focused on one thing. And you know what? I think what the government did was they took what would basically provide an unstable emotional environment for Senegalese. Then you Jill Sonko, Duko jail, and made Senegalese hopeless to the fact that the candidate you want the most cannot be a part of it. And so now, not only are we going to take the candidate you want the most, anybody else he puts up, we're also going to take him, or we're also going to put charges on him. We're also going to do something. It's because we don't have a poker face. We show how hurt we are every time, which I totally understand. Man, we have to get to a point where there are multiple plans at play that the government doesn't know about. I'm not talking about anything violent, to be clear. I'm not talking about anything violent. I'm talking about the way we interact with presidential candidates. Even if you have to be strategic. You see, it's one thing about the American society. I don't like their politics much, but they will utilize candidates to get their needs met. Some people know for a fact I would never vote for Trump, but they're going to give Trump enough hope to feel like, oh, well, if I just do this, if I just do that. Did you know that Trump was the president that provided the most support to veterans during his presidency? It's been documented that Trump's presidency provided the most support to veterans. I am not a Trump supporter. However, the fact that other presidents lack the ability to provide the same amount of support that Trump did in the manner that was going to be received by the American people just let me know that the American people knew how to leverage their relationship with Trump to get what they needed out of it. I don't think that Senegalese fully understand the art of politics. We're too emotional, and our strategies are too publicized. Like, the government knows they know all of our next steps, and we don't know theirs. His MO, someone said his MO was to destabilize the country, and we're falling into it. Absolutely. I've absolutely been saying that since day one. His MO was to destabilize the country, which let's think about it. He did that. Like, they did that. They destabilized the country emotionally. It's like if someone has a leader they're looking to, and then you take the leader, everyone else is lost on what the next move is because only the leader had the plan. You can't do that. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great groups that are working to make sure that Sonko's message stays alive. And I don't want my message to get lost in translation, that I feel that based on the candidates that I have seen, I do think Sonko has the best message and the best intentions. I want to make that very clear. What I also want to make clear is fighting against a government takes strategy, and how emotional we are, how unorganized we are, they're going to always win with the way that we currently process information, the way that we currently react to information, even the protest. Our voice gets lost in translation because of our actions. It's like to have an organized, and like, I'm gonna give y'all an example. And I want to preface this with, I am playing devil's advocate. I'm giving you another point of view. I study politics, so I can give you another point of view without agreeing with it. And I hope that is clear here. My thing is, there's a reason why the government continues to get away with things so clearly and get away with it from people that are funding them. For example, the World Bank and the United Nations. They have called the government into question about things that they have done. And they have multi-millionaire projects with these organizations. And the government has been able to provide written documentation of why certain rules are set in place. For example, shutting off the internet. The public interpret that as violating our First Amendment rights. What the government has explained to these world entities is no, we shut off the internet because there are people abroad in the diaspora that are going online and telling Senegalese in the midst of a riot how to create more violence and chaos. And what do you see? They're providing documentation of TikTokers and Instagrammers and YouTubers with millions of followers telling them to burn this thing up and burn that up and go to Pale and do this and do that and do this and kill this person. This is the problem. It's like they'll do something, you know, the ulterior motive, but they'll also provide a legal justification of why it happened that people are going to have a hard time questioning. Not to say that it's right, but it's like killing two birds with one stone. And now the reason why I always call for a peaceful protest is because when it's organized, people are able to receive your message better. Bintu, if you want to join, you can go on YouTube, go on Simply May's Thoughts, go on YouTube and click the link to join. There's a link in the chat to join. You can just click the link, you just type whatever name you want in. You can turn your camera off and we can have the dialogue one-on-one. Multiple people can also join. So please join the link. Go to my YouTube channel. The link is in my bio. But yeah, the thing about it is they have legal reasoning as to why they're doing things that the public perceives as illegal, right? We say you can't shut off the internet because it's impacting our First Amendment right to free speech. But then they say, well, yeah, you have free speech, but you also have people who are outside of Senegal telling angry rioters how to create more harm in Senegal. That's a matter of national security that they have a justification for. I want to be very clear. I do not agree with the measures that the government is using. I am providing you all a different perspective on how they are able to get away with it for so long because we are not thinking strategically. We are not making an organized effort to address corruption. What we are doing is reaction, reaction, reaction. But we need to get to a point where we are proactive and not reactive. It can't be every time something happens, we go out and are reactive versus having an organized plan. It's just, we're doing a lot of advocacy. And I want to mention the fact that there are a lot of organized efforts. Shout out to Free Senegal USA. There are a lot of organized efforts to get our voices out there. But it's also, we have to think about the fact that not only are there organized efforts, but for every one organized effort, there are 8 to 10 unorganized efforts. And so we have to find a way that we can think strategically, because you cannot fight a government, especially when you're not even in the country. And you can't fight a government when you're in the country. There's just too many areas to be able to silence you. And the way we need to do this to voice our opinions is making sure that we are using all forms of communication. Social media is not the only form of communication. When I put up videos to say send an email to this person, send an email to that person, those are direct people within organizations that are responsible for these things. How amazing would it be that when you have a march, the government is the one who is pushing people to protest, not you, because you're just sharing your thoughts, and we Senegalese people really appreciate. Yeah, thank you. Yes, I am pushing people to do peaceful protests and strategic, proactive efforts to have a stable government. The thing about it is, we are very reactive. And by the time we react, the government is already 10 steps ahead of us. So, also, there's this thing about maximizing your relationships. And the problem with maximizing our relationships is when we have a problem, you then you fucked it. And I'm gonna say me too. When we have a problem, you then you fucked it. The relationships that we can use to maximize and fight against an effort. Like I literally was having a breakdown about all these situations, and I had someone text me from the United Nations staff meeting, like, "Hey, we saw your video. I just want to let you know we're talking about it at a staff meeting." I was like, I forgot that I have people I know who I can at least reach out to talk and have a conversation. But when you're in a state of panic, you forget to stop and think and try to organize an effort. You know what I'm saying? If you would like to join the chat, you can go on my YouTube and the link to join is there. You can join with your camera on or off, or you can join with your name or without your name. Elage, din alcohol apre. Thank you. Mamadou Jam, if you would like to join, I see you have a lot of thoughts, and I appreciate your perspective, and I'd like to hear more of it. If you'd like to join, feel free to join on YouTube. Yeah. Hi, Zara. Yeah. So that's the thing. I feel like we are doing everything we can to try and address this, but we need to have a more strategic approach. We need to have a more strategic approach and have an approach where we're able to. Zada, if you would like to join, please go on YouTube. But we need to make sure that the approach we have is not reactive and emotional. Of course, I can't even say that. That's unreasonable to ask people to not be emotional, like, duh, girl. But at least if it's going to be emotional, let it be emotional on our terms, where they're not using our emotions against us. Am I making sense? They're using our emotions against us right now, because every time we feel like we're winning, they like push us back a little bit. For example, people started to get hope because they said Soko was having a dialogue with the president, right? And then all of a sudden we heard that the dialogue wasn't a success. So it's like every time someone gets hope, they push them back 10 steps. And what that creates is an emotional instability where you're not even able to accurately think strategically. We're stuck on plan A and we need to figure out a plan B. And I think what the problem is that it's kind of hard to tell people that right now, because I do understand that politics is very emotional, but what is hard to say is that we need a plan B. That's just, we knew it wasn't going to be a success though. Yeah, I thought so too. I didn't think it was going to be successful either. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was just going to be a conversation that they were going to have unreasonable terms. That's what I thought it was going to be. I absolutely do not think there's going to be any. You have to put yourself in their shoes. Would you allow someone to be president who has made it clear that when they are president, they will come after you for any act of corruption that you've done? Put yourself in. If you were a corrupt individual, would you allow that? And put yourself in their mindset. The reason why I say put yourself in their mindset is when you at least try to put yourself in their mindset, it doesn't mean that you agree with them. It just means that you're trying to think about what their next step is going to be, so that your next step can be stronger. And this is the challenge that I find is that when I have conversations, if I'm being honest, when I have conversations with my Senegalese peers and I'm telling them, hey, y'all, even when I say I'm on y'all's side, I agree with what you're saying. Even when I start off with that, as soon as I start giving another perspective, it's like dangabon bugo Senegal, yo comprando, you don't understand what's going on in Senegal. It's like um the immediate defense mechanisms go up, your wall go up. You don't even want to hear. And I'm not saying this is everybody. Bintu, you're here, you just don't know how to join. Let me put the link in the chat. The immediate defense mechanisms where you're not able to fully understand the other side. Like really try to put yourself in a lawyer's mind frame. Put yourself in a lawyer's mind frame, Mamadou, no problem. And try to think about what the other side is thinking. That's the challenge that I'm having here. It's really trying to make people understand, like, we can't keep going the way we're going. And they're trying to organize an elections in a month or 2 months. That's not happening. I really hope y'all know that that's not happening. That's just something they're saying now to gloss it over and make it seem like this is gonna happen. Lolu munu I'm not organized an election fi agdemwa. Even bufeke nankodef is not gonna be an election of quality. Are you having problems with joining? I just sent the link again. Yeah, when you do join, it tells you to put your name, but you can put any name. You can put a dot if you want. Yeah, that's just my thoughts. It's like, it's not that we're doing something wrong. It's just that I would love for us to do it in a more strategic manner. I hope that makes sense. It's like, I would love for us to be more strategic about the way that we are addressing their actions. I would like for us to be more strategic about the way that we're interacting with the diaspora. I would love for us to be more strategic about our plans A, B, and C, and how we communicate those plans. Hello.
Hey.
Hey, Bindu, I added you to the stage.
Okay.
First, congratulations on marriage.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, but what are your thoughts on the current state of Senegal?
I have a lot of thoughts. Assalamu alaikum, everybody, first and foremost. I think for me, and I'm trying to choose my words carefully because, like you said, our people, we like to tussle.
Right.
But
I'm open to opposing views also.
I really do think that we need to be better at strategizing and mobilizing and understanding that it cannot all be based in emotion. Not saying that the emotion is not based in logic, but at the end of the day, that's not necessarily going to get us where you want to get in life. I think a great example of that, if we take it even outside of the context of Senegal, is like the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020, where it was like, we had this moment in history where we all mobilized together and we all went outside and we all protested. And then somewhere along the lines, one thing went wrong to another, people started looting, things started happening. And even if that was just such a small proportion of the people that were there, even if it was less than 1%, that is what the headlines became. That is what the memory became, like of the chaos that ensued. And so when I think about Senegal and I think about all the emotions that are involved, it makes sense to me. It makes sense that people would be upset. It makes sense that people would be angry. At the end of the day, we are a resource rich country and we have the potential to be so much greater than what we are. And even with all the strides and that we've made and also all the turmoil that is there, Senegal still has a strong GDP in comparison to other African countries. Senegal still has, in comparison to other countries, a stabilized government. And so it is frustrating for us to see us have all this potential and not reach it because of a leader and his actions and choices. But when you go to Pekin and when you go to Gejawai and you destroy these neighborhoods that you live in, and you think that that's going to get the attention of the government, that's not how it works. None of their family is there. None of their money is there. That has no economic impact on them. But it does have an economic impact on us and our families and our people who, it's not America where you have insurance and you're going to get those things back. Those things don't come back. Some of these stores don't recover. Some of these businesses don't recover. Some of these houses that have people don't recover. And so I think that we have to operate smarter in the way that we protest, in the way that we mobilize, because right now it is very self-detrimental. We did all that protesting and he still postponed the elections till December. So that should tell us.
Right. What
And it's
do you
like,
think
it's a
is a
hard
way?
truth.
What do you think? No, it is a hard truth. And unfortunately, I think it's a time for us to hold each other accountable as the diaspora, as citizens, as Senegalese, because it's not that we're doing something wrong. I just don't think
Right.
we're doing it in the most effective way. Because
Right.
what I genuinely believe that you can't do something to me and tell me how to react, but I can let you know if how you're doing it is effective. And the I just think we need a more strategic and organized approach, and like a formal approach to doing it. Even if we're gonna even if it's gonna be like a protest with like actions, why not do it in the way that causes global attention? Like I think in France, they were the farmers were protesting, so they went and dumped, not saying that they should do this, but they went and dumped a bunch of cow shit on,
Yeah.
on federal property, and that like caused attention because they're like, oh, that's so genius, that's so creative to think about like what's the best way to do it. When you think about the fact that we're Black, the world sees Black people, there's already so many stigmas around being a person of color, and then you're doing a violent protest, it doesn't help them think of you as a human. It dehumanizes you even more. And then they're not understanding that when the president says terrorist, it's a very harsh word. But
Yeah.
what the world outside world receives as a terrorist, it what's happening fits their definition. They're domestic terrorists, they're international terrorists. It's just, how do we do it in a more effective way where our message gets heard across borders and not just, the problem is ñun Senegalese, us Senegalese, we understand what's happening because a
Mhm.
lot of the things that's happening, we're able to communicate amongst ourselves at the dinner table talk, as Americans would call it. But are we opening it up to people outside of Senegal to fully understand what's happening, and how are we communicating that? Is my question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's a difficult question. I first and foremost do think that right now, and I could be wrong, but I do think that the current administration is banking on the emotional reaction and the violence because, like you said, it allows them to throw out dictionary terms and reasons for their protocol. Oh, I'm allowed to shut off the internet. I'm allowed to send in the militia. I'm allowed to do these things because by dictionary definition, these are the things that is happening. And so that's why I feel like it's very important for first and foremost, if we are going to protest strategically. I think one thing that's very difficult is like Senegal the Fameti. You know what I mean? Like, so the idea of like an economic protest, although those are usually the most effective, might not be feasible for the majority of the Senegalese people. And so we do have to think of other ways to mobilize and to protest. I also think that we are very focused on these two candidates, and rightfully so. I think Sonko has made a name for himself for good reason. But
Yeah.
if that is the only person that we have, and this administration has made it their life's goal for him not to proceed after, then we need to figure out who else is running. Because there are other candidates running. What are their interests? What are their policies? What are their politics? And start getting involved in that as well. Because
Yeah.
God forbid anything happened to Sonko, then now it's like, what do we do now? Like, we don't want the country to turn into complete chaos. And so I think that that is something that we definitely need to think about. And I think for us who are abroad and not in Senegal, we do need to get involved in politics. I think it's very important. I was talking to my mom about this, about getting dual citizenship.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like knowing the laws of Senegal, knowing how to acquire land, how to communicate, because these are things as we become first, second, third generation that are going to be increasingly important as we are their connection to the rest of the outside world. And it's just going to take a group effort. And I don't know if it's something that's going to be sought out and communicated effectively within this administration or within this 4 to 6 year term. Like this might have to be something that is trial and error for the next couple of years.
Yeah. That might be something that I organize because I was about to go to the embassy to make sure that I go get my dual citizenship. So that might be something that like people who are in areas can go and get done together to
Yeah.
have that camaraderie. So that might be something to start because one thing and this is my feelings. Earlier on, I started to not want to voice my opinions because I'd be like, dang, they're gonna just be like, you're not here or you're not fully Senegalese, so we don't want to hear what you gotta say. And it started to make me feel like maybe you shouldn't talk out as much. But then when I realized, like, no, this is going too far. Like, we need to say something about it. And we also need to pull in resources that maybe we would have done in a different election format. And I
Yeah.
100% agree with your point. We need to get to a plan B because
Yeah.
not saying Sonko isn't the best candidate. To be clear, I think he is the best candidate right now. The problem is when I ask the question of who do you think is most likely to win, people are misconstruing that with who do I want to win? And that's not what I'm asking. When I say who do you think is most likely to win, I am asking you to factor in all the aspects of government and all the aspects of elections. And this is things that I want people to keep in mind. If we only focus on Sonko and the day comes for election, it's a few things that's going to happen that's not going to be in the favor of Sonko. You have to think about, I'm thinking, but you know how many again in Senegal who they were most likely Sonko supporters. There's a
Mm,
lot of people who, if their candidate is not going to be on the ballot, they prefer to not vote.
mm.
And the problem with that is that's fine for them because they're going to just go and make sure that everyone that wants to vote for their candidate is there so they can win no matter what. Right now, whatever solution we think of that's not organized, if it's Sonko neko for duma vote, wala sama yon neko tiche, I'm not in Senegal, or
Mm.
you know, all those solutions is not helping out Sonko people.
They
It's
only lead to one outcome, and that outcome is not the one that we want. So,
exactly. So it's
right.
like, how do we leverage our relationships and still get what we want out of it? Is it that a candidate that we want to push forward has to include Sonko in their government? Can that be a solution? Can it be that a top leadership position for whatever candidate has to include Sonko? Because that's a strategy that Biden used. He really only got elected because people saw a black woman going to be vice
Yeah.
president before a white woman. You know what I'm saying? So like what are solutions that we can utilize to have the other candidates be backup plans where we still get a little bit of what we want? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm lost for words because I know a lot of people, it's hard to say, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna put me as the bad guy right now, but it's hard to say because telling someone to think about another plan outside of the plan you want is really hard. But also,
Yeah.
it's best to have your bases covered before you get the solution that you absolutely don't want, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's just in all facets of life. Like we're talking about in politics right now. And I also studied policy in
Yeah.
undergrad, doing MPA. But I think people
Really? That's what I'm doing now.
really, yeah. So I feel like people don't realize how much goes into like electing someone, how much goes into getting someone on the ballot, how much goes into, even if you think about laws, like the law that you want and the law that actually gets passed are often very different, but will have key things that you want. And like taking it out of politics, when you apply for college, there's a reason you have your top schools and then you have your safety schools. There's like these things happen in all facets of life, but I think that we are very patriotic, which is a positive thing, but we are very emotionally attached to a specific outcome. And so it is very hard to see that it would
Yeah.
happen any other way. And that can
Mm,
be extremely detrimental.
that was a good point. That was a really good point. We definitely have our eggs in one basket and we're not thinking about the rest of the baskets. I don't know what the solution is. I know what the solution is, but it's just like I know what I would like the solution to be, but to get Senegalese to come to a common understanding of what the solution will be is hard. I
Yeah.
think at some point we're gonna have to on Instagram Nana and Bintu Menu Tuti Wolof. um
No.
no. But yeah, no, and you brought up so many great points in your conversation because I think oftentimes it's important for them to hear somebody else say it. So
Mm.
maybe they need to hear someone who they feel like has their best interest at heart. Because mun nga ñëw sama page and you see down the line that I'm like I'm giving you both sides. Sometimes I'll make a video you agree with, and sometimes I won't make a video you agree with, and it's harder to trust. But you go to somebody. I really do think it's the responsibility of those that are leading in the space with Sonko, with like the Sonko and the Patriots. It's really to let them know, hey, like, don't lead them to a water full of mud. Like,
Yeah.
lead them to clear water. Let them know, hey, we're getting to a point where the election's around the corner. Sonko's not out of jail yet. The one who he put in power, it has so many challenges. What is our next step? And that's what we need to talk about. And I don't think that conversation is being had. And I think what we're going to end up with is a candidate that the government put in place, and it's just going to be a
Right.
continuation for the next 8 years. So I don't know. Thank you for joining the live, though. I appreciate your thoughts.
No problem. I just wanted to say that because, like you said, this was the first time I've seen this conversation being had, and I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's just yeah. And
Yeah.
I'd love to continue the convo is because I think and I'm being honest with myself, sometimes I'm just like, I'm not even about to say it. Because I talked to my sister about it, I talked to my friends about it, and it sounds like that's what you do too. Like, it sounds like you're talking about it, but not in a public platform. And I just feel like people are too hyper emotional when it comes to this, to where they're not ready to hear it. And when they're going to be ready to hear it is 1 year into someone else's candidacy that we have no
Right.
control over.
At that point, it's hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
It's more of a "I told you so" than actual advice, if anything. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, if anyone wants to join the live and discuss, Bintu, you can stay if you would like, or if you have other things to do, I totally understand. But I appreciate your thoughts and really sharing your mindset. Someone said, if we just decide not to vote, the government will win, and all the projects we did will mean nothing. I think the great solution is to check and choose one of the candidates who is not um, in the red. I think you mean, yeah, okay, who is not part of APIA. Yeah, I agree with you. Thank you, Bintu, for joining. So yeah, Bintu joined. She shared a lot of good perspective, and I appreciate that. But yeah, if you would like to join, make sure that you go on YouTube, click the link to join, and share your thoughts on the current state of Senegal. Um, yeah, if we absolutely decide not to vote, that's a great point. If we do not come up with a plan B and decide not to vote, the other side will win and we will have no control. There are a couple of solutions we can have here. We can make sure that a candidate, whatever candidate, because Fimnekani, the government is going out of their way to make sure that Sonko is not a part of it. And you have to put yourself in their shoes. I'm not saying they're right, but what I'm saying is, if you have valid proof that if this person becomes president, they will make sure that anyone who has done a corrupt act in government will be held accountable. Yo yaakaar nga ni bu ñu xamee ne suñ ma dugalee damay dem jail that dinañ la bàyyi nga dugg when they have all the power right now? No, it's just not going to happen. Like, we have to be realistic. And the thing about that is, politics is a dirty game. It's a dirty, dirty game. I really wish y'all knew how dirty it was. It is not even like there's always politics is all about negotiation. Not everyone's not going to get what they want out of the situation. There's give and take. I'm not saying to give and say those who did corruption won't get held accountable. I'm just saying, think about the hills you want to die on. Once you have identified the hills you want to die on, then identify the hills that you know for sure you can give a little and take a little on those hills. Because if you know for sure that you just want Sonko to be a part of the government because you know he has good intentions, having someone be president and putting him in a leadership position, not one of those positions that's just you're the mayor, but you have to do everything I say. No, a leadership position that has a valuable spot in the government and make sure that they agree, they commit to put Sonko in that position. I think that is a win, because where we're at right now, I don't think the government will allow Sonko to win. I'm being honest. I don't think we'll be able to plan an election in 2 months. I'm just being honest. Now we have to think about, what is our plan B? How can we utilize the other candidates to get what we want? We want Sonko to be a part of the government. We want Sonko to Sonko's agenda, Sonko's intentions to be a part of the agenda. How do we make sure that that still gets done with what the government is doing? Because what they're going to do now is put in place a structure that only allows for them to win and only allows for their security. Just think about it from your perspective. If you were put yourself in their shoes. If you were in the government and you felt like if you gave up your position, the person coming next is going to come after you and your family, would you let that person go next? Just ask yourself that. Forget the government. Forget the government. Think about your home. You just walked into your house, right? If you know that leaving the door unlocked, there's a robber downstairs coming up the stairs straight to your apartment, are you going to leave that door unlocked? Just answer that. From when you know that answer, that should inform your actions moving forward. Because a human is just a human. We're all going to do what's best for us. And that's the reality of it. The government is supposed to operate as an entity for the people. But the reality of it is, in most cases, the government operates as an entity for the people when it does not impact them. Now that you know that, what is our plan B? That's the question. What is our plan B? Someone said, guys, think about it like elementary school. If your teacher asks you if you want a pizza party or ice cream party, and all the people who want neither wouldn't mind ice cream, but don't vote. Exactly. Basically, if the ones who wouldn't mind ice cream don't vote, we're going to have a pizza party. Great analogy. Great analogy. I'm trying to provide analogies so that people understand, but someone said winner takes all. Exactly. Winner takes all. It's just, we have to think about a plan B. We have to be strategic about a plan B. Because, of course, clearly, of all the candidates, Sonko is the one who has the best intentions. Based on what they have said their intentions are. What we know now is that even the person Sonko has put in place, there has been methods to ensure that they do not become president. So now that we know that, are we able to utilize the other candidates to get what we want? No matter what, any candidate that comes in, they are going to want to be reelected. So if they come in and say, you know what, if you elect me, I'm going to put Sonko in this position, and they don't do that, then you can make sure that they don't either finish their term because they did not do something that we had asked them to do. That's probably unlikely to happen, if I'm being honest. But you can also make sure that they're not reelected. But what you can do is make sure that whoever becomes president, you let them know, we want you to be president, but you need to make sure that these three things happen. Sonko has to be a part of one of the highest leadership positions in your government. He needs to be let out of jail immediately. The day you sign your contract to be president, he needs to be out of jail the day after or the minute after you sign. There's just also watching this live video. Hey, Mom Jada, please join and share your thoughts. You can join on, just as a reminder, you can join on YouTube to share your thoughts. You can join and show your face or not show your face. You don't have to put your full name because I understand there are safety measures, but it's just to have a dialogue. We need a plan B. And the problem with this is it's hard to tell people that we need a plan B because it's hard to hear. it's hard to hear that your candidate, the candidate that you want, is being attacked or being, how do I put this in terms that don't cause you to put up defenses? It's harder to have this conversation with the public, because I can have the conversation with my siblings and people close to me, and I know that they understand my intention. When you have the conversation with the public, you're talking to people who do not know you. And so I want to make this very clear. I think, based on the presidential candidates that we have, that the best candidate to be president would be Sonko. I need to make that very clear, because the problem is people hear the messenger, they don't hear the message. So people get offended that you are saying, hey, you shouldn't, you should have a plan B. They're thinking I'm saying that Sonko shouldn't be president. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we are up against a lot of challenges right now. We are up against a government in power that does not want one particular person to be president, because they identify him as a threat to their well-being. How do we go around that? I think the right is persecuted. So, li ma bëgg a xam mooy lan ngeen yaakaar mooy plan B pour Senegal's government, because ni ma ko gisee fi mu nekk nii gouvernement bi dinañ gagné. Mënuñu organise élection fii ak 2 mois. Boo xamoon ne boo demee nga bàyyi boo xamoon ne boo demee nga bàyyi kenn mu nekk président, moom wax na la ni da lay dugal jail wala day, doo ko bàyyi mu nekk président. Let's just be real with each other. Let's have a genuine, honest conversation with each other. And this might make people not like me, or feel like I want one side to win. No, I have to make it clear. I think Sonko should be president. I also think we need to put ourselves in the shoes of our opposer and try to anticipate their steps, so that we can make sure our next steps are informed and strategic. That's what I'm trying to communicate here. Plan B should overthrow the entire government. That's what someone said. Plan B should be to overthrow the entire government. How do you do that? Is that a coup d'etat? Because I don't think that's going to happen. I feel like the military is on the president's side. How do you overthrow the entire government? Usually the governments that have been overthrown are overthrown by the military, right? But so do y'all feel like the government should be overthrown? And is there a safe way to do that? I'm very worried for Senegal. I'm so worried. Just as a reminder, if you would like to join the live, you have to click the link in my YouTube. Demonchi video be on YouTube and go join link. But do get some YouTube thing gis live, but say live, man go join link be next to chat bit. But yeah, it's very interesting. But we have to change our mindset. And first step, let's be more focused on Juf and a little bit of talk. After that, we have to put the knife. Knife. NBA yotamit. Muno dag fofu bul ne put the knife rek dag fofu rek nak sing bi. Strategic plan from the youth. There should be an inside person in the government who clearly doesn't agree with the state of Senegal. There are good people in the government. That's what I need people to know. There are good people in the government. The problem is they are outnumbered. They are outnumbered and they don't know who to trust. So they're not going to out themselves and be held accountable, I don't know how to find them. I think it's not going to happen. As you said, the military are on the government side. Yeah. I feel like the military and the president are connected. I'm not saying they're corrupt. I'm just saying I feel like they have a good relationship, as the military and the president should have a good relationship. I don't feel like our military is at the point where they're going to overthrow the government. I don't see that happening. Strategic plan from the youth. Does a strategic plan are the youth currently equipped to safely remove a government? I don't think so. This youth lighting tires in the street? I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think that's gonna happen. Mama jahal kay Anthony mom. Nena put the knife fun out of there. What's your thought? My thought on the youth overthrowing government. I don't know if that can be done safely. I don't know if I would trust the current youth that we have to overthrow, or maybe I'm misconstruing you. Maybe I'm misconstruing what you're saying. Let me reread it. Plan B should be to overthrow the entire government, and then a strategic plan from the youth. There should be an inside person in the government who clearly doesn't agree with the state of Senegal. But what does an overthrow look like? Like I don't know what that looks like. I think I'm misunderstanding you. I do feel like where we're at now, based on what I'm seeing, I think the side that people don't want to win is going to win. What about the military? For me, I feel like for me, the next step is to select a candidate who we think is the next step is to select a candidate who we think is going to be a sufficient president. May not be the one that you wanted, but it'll be the one that you think is sufficient enough to get the job done and put conditions in place for their presidency. The military, I think the military has a good relationship with the current government. I don't think we have a very good military, but I don't think they have enough incentive to stand against the government. If I'm misunderstanding what you're saying, you can always join the chat and share your thoughts. Yeah, I'm just really worried. I'm really worried, and I'm worried, and I don't know what the next step is. I really feel like the wrong side is going to win, because the way I'm seeing how reactive we're reactive and we're not thinking strategically. It looks like having a plan in place from youth groups who are in the field doing the work, but I do agree that that can be difficult. It's sad. Okay. If a government structure is removed out of power, do those youth have the tools to lead a country? I think that will be, I don't think so. And what is your definition of youth? The definition of youth is really broad. They say from 15 to 35. But if youth are those between like 25 and under, I don't think they currently have a plan to keep the country afloat. Yeah, they don't have a plan. Yeah, I don't think the youth can. I feel like the safest next plan is to select a backup candidate who backup candidate who can, who can be president. Sorry, fault hand. I want to say that we have to change how we give power without any decentralization. But yeah, I don't think the next step is to overthrow government, because I don't believe we have a structure in place to represent us in the manner that a government will represent us. Because what people aren't understanding is there's so much on the background of representation in government platforms for Senegal. The way Mali's military is representing them, they are making country decisions. They are having to process bills. They just set up a new gold mining system. There's so many things that happen in the background of a government structure that I don't feel our youth are prepared for. And I think that if I hope that the government doesn't get overthrown by civilians, because I actually think that will create more harm to Senegal, which is, yes, exactly. We are not united. We are absolutely not united. That's why I hope that no civilians are thinking of overthrowing government, because, and I want to make this clear. I think if there was like a military structure, I don't even know if that would be good, because I don't know the intention. It's so hard to determine what the next step would be. I really wanted this to be like a strategy conversation where we think of what our next step is. Yeah, I agree. We're not united. It's sad. I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time. Yeah. I don't know. And thank y'all for sharing your thoughts in the chat. It's very important that we keep the convo going, even if you disagree. Like, I value your opposing views. I am not you're not making me feel like, you have to agree with, you don't have to agree with me. Like, I really want y'all to understand, because one thing that I do agree with what Chon Yang said was that he doesn't have to agree with you to have a conversation with you. I don't have to agree with you to have a conversation with you. But I do think that there's power in understanding both sides. But yes, I just got a message. I didn't read the full message, but yes, I do agree that releasing Sonko. I do agree that releasing Sonko and yes, thank you, sis. I saw your message. I couldn't read it fully, but I know that I got to read the first couple of messages of release Sonko and release the political detainees. And thank you for mentioning that, because we need to raise awareness about the condition of the correction system, the correction system in Senegal is horrible. The fact that grown men were leaving jail crying, it brings tears to my eyes, because I work within the judicial system in the USA, and having to work in jails, seeing people have their own cell and their own space using private bathrooms and still feeling traumatized at the fact that they're in jail. And then you have to think about what they're going through in Senegal when they're packed in a room that's clearly set for 4 people, and they're packed in at 70 to 100 at a time, and not being allowed to use the bathroom, and you don't know what they're feeding you. It's heartbreaking to think that we should let the world, it's heartbreaking to think we have standards for the world to treat us as humans, and we don't even have standards for ourselves to treat ourselves as humans. Like, the fact that the government can think it's okay to have jails set up in a way where it's like you're mimicking a slave boat. It's like you're mimicking Gore Island. The fact that you think that it's okay to treat some Senegalese comme jam and feel like Tubabi and the white people are supposed to treat you as a human. For me, it's the ultimate level of hypocrisy. Senegal's jails are toxic. They are not the embodiment of human rights. And I understand the mentality of, I don't even understand it because I don't agree with it. Man, the mentality of, if you do a crime, lun la def bakna. Man, you also have to understand that a lot of crimes in Senegal are opportunity crimes. Bo xamul lan moy opportunity crimes, moy crime bo xamne da nga am problem, and the crime in the moment dafa la fajal sa problem. What the Americans call opportunity crimes are, you see a phone and you rob that person of their phone. and you see like you need food or clothes and you go steal for that. The majority of crimes in Senegal are opportunity crimes. That speaks to poverty. That speaks to mental health. Most of these people are not natural criminals with a criminal mindset. They're put in conditions that force them to make criminal decisions. And the fact that the government feels comfortable enough to put grown men in a room that's only supposed to house 4 to 6 people, at the most 10. And you plan to put over 70 people in that room, and then you don't even tell them what you're feeding them. If we cannot treat ourselves as humans, why would you expect others to treat you as human? This goes back to slavery. Because before other people started selling us, yun din don giant suyu bir. Oh, yo jam nga damalay jay. Damalay jay tubabi. Nakman sama family, we have a bigger title than you. So, ken dumajay. Mais comme jam nga dinala jay. Dayon mujj dem ba jam yi jeex ñu commencé di jay the people in leadership, the people in power. So the divide and conquer starts with us. Because guess what? Those people, those political detainees that they put in jail, they put them in jail as young men and women who probably never seen the inside of a jail before and did not commit a crime. You have now released them back into society with a different mindset. You've now released them back into society with a level of anger that you will not comprehend. It's just, for me, it's like, I have to set back up the live. Sorry. If you were on Instagram, I'm going to set back the live. I'm going to set the live back up because it ended. It's just, I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed. I'm going to restart the live. Sorry. The live on Instagram kind of just went out for me. Yeah, but it's really a struggle because I feel like they're just going to do whatever makes them feel better and they're not going to get anything out of it, you know? Yeah. But yeah. Just pausing a little bit because the live paused, and so if you are on the YouTube, you can definitely join the live. We just ended prematurely, but I'm gonna go back. Yes, I'm back. Just remember that if you want to join the live, you have to go on YouTube, and if the live cuts off again, just join on YouTube so that you can continue to watch the live. It's actually better if y'all go on YouTube and watch the live instead of watching from Instagram. So go on my YouTube because we have a couple of you on Instagram, and I think it'll be better if you join from YouTube because then I can see your comments in the chat on YouTube. Someone said to speak English. I am speaking to my Senegalese people, so I'm going to speak English and Wolof. I'm only speaking English so that the diaspora can understand. But I am speaking to my Senegalese people, so I want to make sure that I speak in my native tongue. which is Wolof. So, but you are welcome to. I hope that I could have like captions here, but it's hard to translate Wolof to English. But I'm gonna go in and out of the Wolof in English so that those who are in the diaspora can understand. But what I was saying was, li ma doon wax mooy yéen comprendre leen the level of like a mental mind. It's like a mindset shifting that happened with political detainees. Ndax boo jëlee kenn koo xam ne dafa génnoon di def manifestation nga jël kenn ku génn di def manifestation pour wax ne kontaanoo ci état am lu muy def nga jël ko tëj ko prison ba pare nga tëj ko prison ci ay conditions yoo xam ne bugg ñaanoo sa beneen doomu aadama dund loolu. Même boo nekkee New York lan ngay dégg, well, not even New York, boo nekkee USA li ngay dégg mooy I wouldn't wish jail on my worst enemy. And loolu li muy tekki mooy dugg jail wala dugg prison ñaanuma sax sama ki ma gën a bañ ci àdduna ñaanaluma ko loolu. te jail yi ñu yore fii moo gën jailu Sénégal fuuf. So imagine nga jël ñi ci ëpp ay xale lañ. Imagine nga jël xale dugal ko prison du ko jail ci ay conditions yoo xam ne musu ko gis ba pare nga ñëw génne ko ci dëkk bi bàyyiwaat ko ci society bi. Yow ki nga dugaloon jail dem na mentality am bi dafa different because moom fi nekk ni dund na ay conditions yoo xam ne mënu la ko expliquer. Dangay gis ay magum jëm yoo xam ne dañoo génn di jéem expliquer what happened to them in jail. Mais ay jooy dañ doon jooy rek di jooy rek di jooy rek. Léegi yow da nga bëgg kooku génn and have a conversation wala di am ay action with the Senegalese community comme normal. Kooku changé nga ko for life. Kooku même bu nekku criminal bu demee ba commencé di xalaat ay action of criminal, the fear of jail da ko génne ci moom ragalatul loolu. So pour mu dem defi crime bu raw liñ ko jiin pour mu dem defi ko, it's a little bit easier now. That's why when we use jail and prisons in society, we have to make sure that you are using it for people that deserve it. It should not be because I disagree with your political point of view and that you have not committed a crime that I'm putting you in jail. Because now what I'm doing is that those youth, I am removing that fear of jail. A lot of things that prevent crime is people not wanting to go to jail. The fear, the thought of going to jail is what stops people from doing crime. But when you remove that fear, when you remove that thought, crime increases. The recidivism rates, maanaam nit ñi nga xam ne dañuy dugg jail ba génn demaat dafa bëri because ragalatuñ jail. So boo jëlee loolu bu kenn demee ne day def manifestation of dafa bëgg Sonko nekk président nga jël ko rap te dugal ko ci jail bu génnaatee dina def lu raw loolu ndax ragalatul jail. Comprendre ngeen li may wax? So thank you for reminding me of the political detainees, because that is a next step, is to make sure that Sonko is released and that the Sonko is released and make sure that they are clear about, his innocence. And I think he's locked up for a cell phone right now. We don't even know what he's locked up for. They dismissed the charges. Man, Senegal lo ma jaaxal. Yeah. But y'all, I want to thank you for joining the live. I think I'm going to cut it off here. We've been live for about 2 hours now. So I want to thank you all for joining. I appreciate every single one of you. I appreciate you sharing your point of view. I appreciate you sharing your opposing point of view. All points of view are welcomed here. We don't have to agree to have a conversation, but we do have to agree to respect, So I appreciate you all joining and having respect for one another. And even when someone disagreed, you politely shared that, So I appreciate the community we are establishing over here, and I want to thank you for joining. I'm going to go ahead and end this live. Don't forget to follow me on all of my social medias. PJ, I see you in the comments. Thank you. Guav Senegal Next Gen. Thank you. Love you too. I see you all in the comments and I really appreciate you joining. So I'm going to go ahead and end the live. Don't forget to add me on all my social medias. It is simply Maze_thoughts on all platforms. And yeah, thank you. We don't say bye over here. So I'll see y'all later.